on the air.
Or is the air on it?
We're ready to go. Because this is Fine and Dandy.
And
This-
this is our show.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Josh.
And we're two people doing a show called Fine and Dandy on the air.
Thank you guys for the watch.
What an intro. You know, it's the little things in life, Josh.
It is the little things. I mean, it just makes you appreciate. It's all in the details.
It's on the I feel like everyone out there is going to appreciate that intro. It just is the pizzazz. It was the character. It was the plot. It was the, you know.
It was how off the cuff it was when Daniel doesn't have a single cuff
I
on
have
his whole body.
no cuffs. No sleeves. I'm sleeveless.
And sleeveless on the pants.
Yeah.
No cuffs.
No cuffs.
Not one cuff.
You know what's also really great? Like it's the little things. You ever just find extra cash in your pocket?
Bro, I did the other day. Like I pulled like a old pair of black jeans out of my closet and I put them on and I didn't think they were gonna fit right and they didn't fit right. But but in the pocket there was $6 and I was like, sweet, I'm going to get some lunch.
The other day, I thought I had no money, and then I found a 20 out of nowhere.
Fuck yeah.
That's a plus.
That's like that whenever you need something so bad, you just like give up and it just comes to you out of nowhere type shit.
Oh, you mean like when you lose something? You ever just lose something and then you give up
Yeah.
looking for it, and then out of nowhere?
That shit just comes to you.
True story. So whenever I lost my AirPods the last time, I looked everywhere. I was like, nah, I know there's somewhere. I was like, I know I didn't just, I'm not, like with those, I don't just place them somewhere, you know?
Right.
I was like, they're going to come up. And then out
Where
of
were
nowhere,
they?
you texted me, you're like, hey, I found your AirPods in my car. I was like,
Dude, I was delivering pizzas and
Let's
I was
go.
like I opened the back seat 'cause I had a triple and I fucking put one back there and I looked on the bottom of the floor and my car was dirty at the time, so there was a few items in there. But whenever I like looked at the floor, I was like, no, are those my pods? And then I checked my pockets. I was like, no, my shit's right here. Whose shit is this? And I called you. I was like, bro, I think these might be yours. You told me you've been looking for them for a couple weeks.
when you stop looking for them, things just turn up. You really just got to hope for the best.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works out.
What's the saying? Let go and let God.
Yeah. Let God and let go.
All right.
That's what they say sometimes.
God's good all the time.
You know what else? Okay, so for everyone who didn't grow up in Texas, which I guarantee most of the people who are probably listening to this
Yeehaw!
are from Texas, but if you're like one or two people of our listeners that aren't from Texas, here you go. Fun fact. We do have a state pledge.
That's true.
And for those of you also that live in Texas that didn't know, most other states do not have a state pledge.
I didn't know that until like recently.
I think there's only one or two other states. I'm not exactly sure which ones they are, but I know for sure that max there's two other states that have a state pledge.
Do you ever think about how a pledge of
It's definitely culty.
super culty
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America?
I'm a kid. I don't know what I'm pledging my
What?
allegiance to.
Whenever you look back, it's like, what was I being entrained to do? You know what I mean? Like, were they just like raising little soldiers type shit to respect a piece of cloth?
Yes. Bro, just fucking ass crack of dawn, 7 a.m. in the morning. Please rise. Like,
That shit was kind of funny 'cause they would have like some kids on there reading the pledge who like sometimes couldn't read. So like it would always be like entertaining to find out who was gonna be next. And sometimes, did you ever like get picked to read the pledge on the announcements? Or anything?
no, but I imagine it's like that being picked to read in the class. You know, out of nowhere, it's just like,
It's like being picked in a fucking assembly to do something. You're like,
oh, that was always
all
the
in
word.
front of the school. It's like even if I get a prize, it's probably like.
Especially if you mess it up, then you go back to class. You know you're catching the heat from somebody.
Real shit.
Somebody's giving you the heat. No, but for those of you that aren't from Texas, we do have a state Texas pledge, and also it's kind of funny because why do we have two pledges? That's super. If you know anyone from Texas already, it's I'm Texan. I'm from Texas.
I don't know anyone from Texas that's like that, but
I know a bunch of people that are hardcore Texas. Like,
I know people that are hardcore Texas, but not in that manner. I feel like that's more of a stereotype because I do know some people that are like that, and I know that I try to stay away from people that are of that nature, mostly because it's like, dude, what is being a Texan really? It's like all this like pride comes from like the fact that it used to be a country, right?
I mean, I think Texas people pride
That
them. I've met a lot
that's
of
like
people
why
who.
the flag is held at the same height as the what
That's what
fucking
I'm saying. Why
USA
do we have
flag.
a Texas pledge? This is what I'm saying.
Bro, California's flag is a fucking bear.
That's hilarious.
It's like a bear. It says like
Banana Republic.
Republic of
I'm kidding.
California.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm
You're
sorry,
a dick.
California.
He's not.
But you meet a lot of people from Texas that are just, I love Texas. In my opinion, being from here, having met everybody that's from here, a lot of people from here, just Texas in general. Is that idea? I think we have the most freedom. If you were to take America and make it a state, it'd be Texas. Well, not quite. You got Alabama and like Tennessee. I wouldn't want to be part of those states, personally.
What makes Alabama and Tennessee like America to you?
I guess the hillbilly country, guns, and
The racism?
probably, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But, okay, other than racism, what's the first thing you think of when you think of Alabama and Tennessee? Go.
Fucking your family?
Yes. Correct answer. I mean, I don't know if that's the correct answer, but I'd put that in my book of what I think of.
Top 5 at least.
So, like, being that, or that being said, Texas people, guns, freedom, capitalism is gung ho. You know how many times I've heard Texas might secede? How many times have you heard that?
Actually, that's true. Like,
How many times have you heard that?
That's true. That's very factual. I have heard that a fair amount.
You wake up in the morning.
Come and take it.
Not only am I pledging, I'm pledging my whole allegiance to a country at 7 years old, 7 in the morning, having no idea what the fuck is going on. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Why am I pledging my allegiance? What did they do for me? I'm 7.
And like they get on your ass if you didn't want to stand up and shit. It's like I get it. Like there are people that fought for our freedom and this and that, but like at the same time, it's like you really think like those people that fought for our freedom were like doing it so that they in their back of their mind they were like at every morning that children across America are gonna look at this flag and say this pledge and it's all because of me. No, they did it for the freedoms of the people, not so the children could fucking say a pledge in the morning. That was your fucking in training and fucking trying to condition kids.
And then you backdoor with the Texas flag.
That shit's weird.
Okay, also another fun fact about the Texas pledge that killed me, and I think I might give some people some flashbacks here. Is if you remember,
You gave me a flashback when you mentioned this earlier.
So for all the people who are around our age, maybe a little bit younger, we started doing the Texas pledge hand over the heart. Like you would do the regular pledge allegiance, classic. Everyone's used to it. But Texas said, no, we have to distinguish between the American flag and the Texas flag. We're our own state. We're Texas. Yeehaw, country of America.
So what they do?
United Countries of Texas. We moved it to where you like put your hand out like you're cusping ready to scoop up some salsa in your hand.
Or you're waiting for some dap that's never going to come.
It's just like your hands out. I don't remember if it was your left or your right. I don't think it mattered. But you just put it out there like you were waiting for something. I don't know what it was.
Candy, please.
And then you proceeded to say the Texas pledge. Now, if that shit don't sound silly as fuck to you.
Whenever you told me that, I was like, damn, we did do that stupid ass shit.
You gotta know where they're like, all right, we're curveballing everyone, switched it up this year. Get ready for a whole new way to say your Texas pledge. Coming to you. Put your hand out.
Coming to you live.
Give you a whole like presentation on it. All right, kids, today we're gonna present to you a whole new way to do the pledge. Round of applause.
Dude, weird.
It was like how I bet people felt whenever they were like, "You don't have to shit in the woods anymore. You can dig a hole."
But then you have to have a shit shoveler.
Not if you have the hole.
But doesn't a shit shoveler shovel? Because don't you have to like move holes?
I guess you'd have to have a hole digger more than a shit shoveler.
Would it not be the same job?
Maybe
Just like the
moving it over a little bit, like it's like extra
instead
steps.
of instead of being the shoveler of the shit, you're shoveling dirt for the shit. So it's like still the same amount of shoveling, just other things. And honestly, it's like I don't know. That's a mute point.
Wait, I know this is off topic, but did they have toilet paper?
No, it's probably mostly like leaf.
You think it was like, I mean, like when society evolved, you know, like I'm medieval times. I don't know the exact info on that, but I'm kind of curious now on whether or not,
Wash at.
hey, how did they've had to be dirty. I know the hygiene. That's
Oh,
why
for sure.
that's why people were dying
Yeah,
left and right.
we're dying of like their immune systems
Cold
are probably
sores.
fucking horrible.
You got a cold sore, you were getting put in the hole.
God.
Die.
Get her out of here.
You see a little bump on your lip. It's like, it's nice knowing you. It was fun while it lasted, but yeah, you got it. You got that shit. No one wanted a part of that. It was terrible.
The itis.
But being a part of, living in Texas is almost like a chip in your shoulder, in a way. Not saying it's like, oh, I'm from Texas, but everyone looks at you a certain way. You say you're from Texas.
I feel like it's expected for you to have like at least 2 horses, a couple cows, a nice little farm. Like, dude, I get it. You were trained on TV to think that it's the wild, wild fucking West, but really it's just the dirty South, and that's all that there is to it.
It is very dirty South, very much indeed. I do love it though. I'd say I love it. I'm not super like country, I'd
Yeah.
say, but I do, growing up in Texas, I have learned to like, the outdoors, like
Right.
camping and stuff like that. I do enjoy, I'm not a hater of guns. I don't hate them. I'm not going to sit here and say like I have the right to own a gun. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to sit here and act like it's like the biggest right I've ever had. I think my right to have a shelter and water definitely reigns supreme above the gun thing, but
I think that they're both equally important. I mean, the gun thing is, in my opinion, I'm like obviously stating my opinion, but it's really just like the ability to protect your family without anybody regulating. And
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. There's a time and place. I'm not saying that like you need fucking army of like 300 ARs and 17 snipers in your garage for you to protect your family. I think that's a little excessive, but at the same time, I understand like the what's it called, the call to like gun shows and things like that. And once you actually like fall in love with like a collectible of some sort, it's hard to divvy away from that. So
yeah, you can't hate people for it.
there's no reason to, as long as nobody's hurting anybody. Like, what is your problem? I mean, I understand that gun violence exists, but I mean, you give a fucking gun and badge to any person that takes a 6-month course. I mean, what the fuck is that?
This is what I'll say. It's interesting about Texas. Just also going off of that, like you're talking about how like people have love,
Mm-hmm.
and you're saying if you're not hurting anybody. The crazy thing is like even people I would say here that are on the more liberal side, like when people think of liberal or Democrats or anything like that, these motherfuckers here are still like very like I'm for guns and like you know what I mean. Like people in Texas are still very much like
Yeah, and so like all I can say is that actions speak louder than words, and like where I'm at is people want to talk all that talk about how guns don't have a place in this world and that we shouldn't need to turn to gun violence, but why did gun sales go up as soon as the pandemic hit?
safety first.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
you can talk all you want, but you went and bought a gun, so shut up.
I just think I think it's interesting that like even the most, not the most, but towards the most liberal people in Texas are still kind of what other places would consider conservative. You know,
That's true.
like you have a weird mix of people down here.
But see, I feel like the idea of like your mentality and your ideals and your morals just being based on your location is
For sure. I just the values. The
like
values.
people like will see that if you're from Texas, that okay, Texas is a red state. Okay, so this person's probably a Republican. You know what I mean? It's like you're doing that without ever asking me a question. You know?
Yeah.
It's weird to me. It's like saying the same thing about like what New York's a blue state, right?
New York.
Yeah.
I want to
Or
say.
what's a blue state? I
Yeah.
don't really pay attention.
Most of them not the Midwest. California is a
California's?
California
Okay,
is
so
a
yeah,
blue
so to
state.
say like anybody in
Washington.
California must be a Democrat type shit. Gotta be because you're from California. I mean, not unfair if that person actually is, but for somebody to just say that you're this because you're from there is so fucking stupid.
I mean, this is kind of gonna segue into the next thing I want to bring up, but it's interesting because when you see places like Portland, Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
or any really big city, and like even like Houston, you know,
Okay.
Houston's a little bit different than Portland. I wouldn't compare the two in culture or people wise.
Okay.
I wouldn't expect the same. Just for anyone who's listening, I wouldn't expect the same from either. But like you go like places like Portland, Oregon, right? You get a lot of influx of people from across the country and stuff. And I think you have a lot of people who want to be activists, you know, people
Right.
who think they're really making a difference and super.
Social justice warriors.
Yeah, you have a lot of people that go in that, and then like deep down to their core, they're really still shitty people.
Yeah.
But like they're over doing it to like make a point to make themselves like feel better.
Right, and I mean that exists, but like through that, you gotta just like you gotta see the situation for what it is because like we talked about before, it's like people are gonna put their own like baggage and perspective on the situation at hand. Whatever has happened to them is more important to them at in this conversation about the situation than the actual situation itself. So whatever they're talking about isn't coming from that place of information, it's coming from that place of information through their learning from bad experiences or good experiences. You know what I mean? But they're at the end of the day putting their perspective on it, expecting you to understand.
Personally, I just think a lot of people don't know what to think, or don't have their own thinking
That's true
process.
too.
If I've come to a conclusion on anything, especially from social media, is just no one really knows what. I almost feel like people don't have an actual moral compass. They're just hopping on whatever people are saying is right and wrong at this point.
But see, like I mean, I get that's true, but I feel like that kind of stems from the not just the government, but the like media being so like hit or miss. Like for you to have 17 different news channels that are all saying something different is dumb. Like I don't know what to believe anymore. You know what I mean? I don't know what to think. Gotta choose something, and now I'm being looked down on for watching CNN or something like that. You know what I mean? And for example, and so like at that point, what I'm saying is like there's so many different, and then you find out like the government controls like media. They have people in like news outlets. They have people in like Hollywood and stuff like that, and it's just like damn, well, I don't know what to think anymore. Just like because all the information that's being fed to me has an agenda behind it. I have to divvy out the agendas, find out where it's coming from, find out who's behind it, where the sources are, what's this doing. You know, I gotta be a fucking reporter, journalist, fucking newscaster. Like I gotta do all the fucking jobs just for me to figure out what I should believe. You know what I mean? And it's not saying that it should be easy to figure that out, but it is saying that it's people are deliberately making it hard to.
I'd say that, but I'm not saying it should be hard to figure out where your moral status, where
Right. No, I mean
your moral compass lies. You know.
that's more talking about your moral compass. Talking I was also talking about like that I wasn't talking about what to think. Talking about like what to think, like how to like it like decide what you are, how to have an original thought, you know. It's like damn, like I'm seeing all of these outlets unoriginal thoughts and trying to get beyond what it's becoming is like tribalism. Oh, if you don't believe this, then you do that, and if you don't do that, then you must do this, and it's just like, well, I mean, I don't want to be a part of your team. That's definitely don't believe fucked up shit that you're talking about.
Yeah, you know, when people get offended and then it's just like cancel, like I'm offended. Okay, you're offended doesn't mean we need to, all gather the troops around and
Right.
ruin
Doesn't mean we need to get the fucking sticks with, what are the sticks with the torches and fucking
pitchforks.
pitchforks, yeah, and go down to the fucking town hall.
Start a whole group. I'm starting a group now. It's gonna be the SJM, Social Justice Militia. Anytime, anytime, anytime I am hurt, I will rally the troops behind me. It's funny because we could be using our like power to get together for so many different things to make a change, and we choose like the dumbest shit. It's like, don't get me wrong, some of it's not dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
It's not dumb. It's just like in the grand scheme of things, it's not at the top of the list.
When we we hyperfixate on the like certain things, it just I completely throws out the whole issue at hand. It doesn't, but it makes people just, oh brother, you know what I mean?
Right, and see that's what
Takes away.
that's kind of what I was talking about. Is that like if say there's like a situation that is being conversed over and being discussed, either party, no matter what that situation is going to put their perspective on it and change the conversation from being about the situation to being about what they think the situation is. And that's why it becomes an argument, because they're not listening to each other, coming to an understanding about what can we do about the situation. They're both just blaming over each other why they don't like what's going on.
A perfect example I would say is the BLM movement. The movement itself important. I'd say it's the racial issue is definitely, we need more justice in the system. You know what I mean? And it's hard to ignore. But what I will say is, you just had a bunch of people like feeling like they needed to piggyback on it and just start saying BLM, putting it in their names,
Fucking
and
Black Square on
it's just
Instagram.
like you're just tagging along now. It's like, do you even have a thought on this? I saw a post the other day that says it's okay to not have an opinion.
Right.
It's okay to not have, like, don't get me wrong, you probably should be worried about humanity. But if you really don't have an opinion, you're just like, yeah, I'm with it.
Right.
You're worse. Like, that's worse.
Like you're basically showing up to somebody's funeral and saying R.I.P. and everybody there's like, who the fuck are you? Why are you here in this person's life? Like, I get it, you're trying to pay your respects, but at the same time, it's like, bro, like these people are grieving over their family member, and you decided now was the time for you to put your 2 cents in. What is going on?
Please don't.
Please don't.
Please don't.
And it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand that everyone feels like they deserve to have a voice. I just don't understand why people think that they should use that voice if they don't have anything meaningful to say.
You don't need to just hop on things. You don't.
Right.
It's fine to sit it out.
Yeah.
It's fine to sit it out. You don't. It's like, I
And
get it.
and it's better to sit it out and like recollect your thought process and come back to it later, instead of making an ass of yourself and trying to participate in something you know nothing about.
Personally, as much as I love watching human behavior, I think if I had to, if I was the person to study like human behavior, especially on social media and what it's become in cancel culture, I'd probably have an aneurysm. I'd plop a blood vessel in my brain, just like, are you kidding me? Because then think about this: you have people who are offended on things originally, people who are just overreacting type offended, and then you have the people who are offended for people that aren't offended.
Yeah.
It's just
How dare you? Like,
the person that, I'm good. I wasn't. It didn't offend me.
I'm good. Why are you having my back? I've never met you.
Like most comedians always talk about, like, their worst nightmares, like the middle-aged liberal, like white woman, because they're always offended for other people or angry about something.
How
or
dare you?
social justice. This.
It was a good point that I was, and he's talking to Fahim Anwar. He's a comedian. He was saying, he was like, people don't understand that when I'm on stage, like, still a performance. Like, yes, I wrote these jokes. Yes, I'm Fahim Anwar, but this is my performance. People like, whenever they get offended by my jokes and by my performance, They think that I'm just some guy that just got off the bus and just walked up on stage and started talking. Like this is how I really think. This is me. You know what I mean? Like no, this is calculated. I'm saying things that I know will either trigger a reaction in you or trigger a reaction in the person next to you. And not every joke is for every person, but my job here is to calculate how I can make you laugh because you paid a ticket to come see me perform, and I don't want you to go home sad. So therefore, this is my performance. I don't know why you can't divvy that apart. And he made a good point. He was like, if somebody's offended by something in a TV show, they won't write the fucking TV show. They're not that offended. But at the end of the show, they'll come up to you in a comedy show and tell you how offended they are, or during your show. There's no way if you see something on TV, you're that offended where you're gonna figure out what the email is and did this and that. And if that's the case, then you got a lot.
Or you don't have enough going on, and you're so mad about like, is your life so boring? Either that or so bad you're over here fucking ruining this person's life today.
It's like, how offended could you really be? You know what I mean? It's a performance.
Something to be mad at, something to direct your attention to. A great example on that would be, so right now, we're in a pandemic. Performances are frowned upon by a lot of people. Like DJs, especially doing shows and stuff like that. Because it brings out a crowd.
Pretty dumb.
It brings out a crowd and stuff. And people don't like
Trump
that.
rallies.
Yeah, so does the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But anyways, but what is happening is these people who are agreeing to do these shows because they get paid for that. And you see a lot of people say, well, they could just do merchandise or they could find another way to make money. And where I'm at with that is, okay, how about this? Let's say you have a regular job, right, that you have to go to every day. You stop going to that. Find another way to make money. But this is, then you're gonna start being like, well, no, I have a family.
Well, that's my stability. Like,
these,
what am I supposed to do? It's like, nah. What are you supposed to do? Figure it out.
Yeah, you're making these excuses for these people because they can do this and do that. But what if they're like a mid-grade producer, or DJ? You know what I mean? Like they're making money, but they're not like overselling, and like they don't have like such an audience where they're just bringing in super bread.
And you don't even have to like. I mean, I see why you're bringing that up because it is like a very interesting point, like why these like performances, but also it's not like for the person who's saying that, the person that's saying just get another job type shit. It's like, bro, you obviously haven't been paying attention to all these small businesses that are getting closed down. You telling them to get another job? They just lost everything they ever had type shit. Lost everything they ever worked for. And you're telling me that is and especially like whenever it comes to the DJs, it's like this is all I have. This is all I've ever worked for. I just got to get another job. You go wash dishes somewhere. Fuck you.
Yeah, my point directly was the fact that like because it was relating back to when we were talking about people getting mad at comedians and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many reasons why you should be getting mad about the pandemic. Government doing a terrible job, us taking the proper protocols and stuff like that. Instead, you're directing your attention towards a single person who decided to take a gig because they may need the money, or they may like performing, which is kind of selfish, I guess, in a way. But you're putting the blame on the whole pandemic. We're never gonna get back to normal because you're doing shows. No, we're not going to go back to normal because tons of businesses are open. We got grocery stores, we got banks, we have restaurants. I think it's a little bit more than the DJ doing a 50-person show. That's contributing, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot more going on.
Right now, you got bars that are open selling or leaving chips on the table so they can categorize as a restaurant, and you're telling me that people can't go put on a fucking performance? Stay 6 feet apart. Fucking across a fucking lawn. I don't care. Let me fucking do my job.
And I get it, because safety of others, and that is important. My point here is the people who are staying in and going by the protocols, you are making a difference. But also to say like these people are making that much more of a wave as compared to everything else going on, you're just deflecting away from the actual problems that are going on. You're trying to hyperfixate on one person because you can't take your frustration out on the actual problem. or you actually don't understand the length of what's actually going on here, and you just want something to be mad at.
You're asking for an inexcusable thing to be excused, which is it's like as one of those performers in that case, it's like your entire life you've been working to do something creative, to be artistic, doing. It's being literally ripped away from you, and then you're being insulted in the process. People are telling you that you're a prick for asking to please, please, please do what you love to do, something that you've worked for your entire life. Literally, it's like people, and it's literally just people, because at this point, the people in power are not following the rules that they're enforcing, for sure. These people are fucking meeting up at restaurants, even though their cities are on lockdown. These people are doing things with their families, having gatherings at their households, even though there's people suffering with their businesses being closed. It's like, when is it gonna be a situation when these people understand that there are other people suffering? And like, and I don't know, bro, because this shit's sad. Like, this shit's real sad, because COVID isn't. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's still people like dying to the vid, but it's not as serious as it was, bro. It's not a there is a vaccine, I guess, and I'm not saying that like everybody's gonna be good, but I'm saying is like, if you open up your business, you'll be fine. Might get a couple cases here and there, shut down, couple week quarantine, whatever you got to do, but don't fucking lock people's shit up, bro. Like, don't put people to the point where they got 3 months of fucking commercial rent they can't pay now because they have no cash flow.
See, and that's what I'm saying. We're putting it on the individual because that's the only thing we can do at this point. It's
Right.
your personal responsibility, and I mean, it kind of is,
And
but
see,
you can't. I mean,
also think about like in big performers. You're talking about like the middle of the pack performers that can't pay the bills. Think about big performers that have studios. That's commercial rent they gotta pay. You know what I mean? Like that, unless it's at their household, which some people do have.
a lot of people.
But I mean, think about like any commercial studio that's like at a location type shit. That shit's got to get paid for by somebody. Lights got to stay on. You know what I mean?
I mean,
If I can't go perform, which basically it's, I don't get me wrong, you can make money on the internet with music, but like most of the like performers say that the money's in touring. You got to go do shows. That's where the money's at. And like advertisements and like
yeah,
sponsors and shit like that.
there's
But
a bunch of different ways you could make money, but
what I'm saying is like when you're cutting out a whole quarter of my fucking salary type shit. If I'm a big performer, if I'm a small performer, I don't have a salary.
That's exactly. I'm still working on getting that consistent salary together.
Right,
Instead
and
of
you're telling me that I shouldn't worry about that. I should worry about paying the bills whenever I was paying the bills by doing these shows, and you took that away from me.
and now it's like you're having to find another job, and you might be taking a big cut in what you were making, and depending on your living situation now, it's like
You might not ever go back to doing what you love to do.
and I mean, I'm not downplaying. There are people who are having to move out of their houses, and people that don't have
We're
anything.
getting eviction notices and things like that.
So I mean, don't get me wrong. That's definitely probably like more of a focus, but
For sure.
you shouldn't also like you try living your life every day, having your life a certain way, and then all of a sudden it's stripped out from underneath you. Depending any type of situation like that, it's always rough.
Where I'm at is like I can't speak on it for sure because I don't have somebody to bring up, but I'm sure that there's the case where there's a musician or a performer or an artist or even just a person who's doing something that they enjoy to do. It doesn't have to be art. It's just anything you enjoy. If that got taken away from you, there's somebody that got that their art taken away from them, their love taken away from them, and got evicted. That person exists too. Lost their house and their love. Now what they gotta do? And you telling me that they gotta pull themselves up by their bootstraps? Fuck you, dog. You need help. That's bullshit.
But it's crazy because it's the same people who are saying
Where
people
I'm at
shouldn't
is
have to do that, pull themselves up by their bootstraps. So they're still complaining about these other people.
that's weird too. That's weirdo mentality. Where I'm at is like, what is it about a hurricane that makes you want to go help people, but a pandemic makes you want to say fuck people?
I mean, that's where it's tough though, is because in a lot of people's eyes, you're saying fuck people by going and doing that. You know,
Going and doing what?
like performing or going out and
Not
doing things
not
because
necessarily, because I
health.
mean the thing is the reason I don't agree with people that are enforcing those rules of locking down, not having performance, are doing the things that they're saying can't do.
But I'm still talking about like the every other, just the everyday average Joe who's pointing fingers. That's what
Right.
I'm
And
talking
what I'm
about.
saying is the everyday average Joe is going off the basis of the information that they were given. Masks don't work was said by Dr. Fauci, and he went back and said that he only said that because hospitals weren't getting enough masks. Can't do that. You lied to the people just now. So people getting lied to, not just by doctors, but by their own government, by their mayors, locking shit down. And you expect them to just so that's what I'm saying. So are they really bad for wanting to just perform whenever they're seeing Trump rallies with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people standing shoulder to shoulder, no mask? I'm supposed to just see that on TV, and I'm the bad person for wanting to put on a show? Fuck no, man. That's bullshit.
Well, it's crazy because it's like 50 people shows or 100 people shows. Don't get me wrong, it's still bad considering the circumstances, but it's like we kind of half-ass get upset at like these bigger things because it's like, oh, it's out of our control, and but somehow we feel like it's more in our control to bitch at this one person and bully
Exactly.
them into not doing this thing.
Exactly that.
And that's weird to me because it's like, this is a great way to put it. So my girlfriend's taking criminology right now, right? And she was telling me in the class, the teacher was saying it's funny because we focus more on one-on-one crimes, when what actually like one-on-one crimes like that cause deaths and stuff like that, like the little ones, like stealing, like a little murder in the street. But what causes more deaths than anything is corporate crime at the higher level. So it's kind of the analogy I'm trying to make here is when you look at these stadiums packed for these rallies or the Super Bowl, or them allowing big events to happen in the name of politics or whatever it may be, those are causing way more like catastrophes than what these little shows would be doing. But instead, we're so conditioned, we're focused on this one-on-one crime over here when we've got this bigger issue at hand, and we're kind of letting that slide. Like, we can't do much about that. It's come. Then what? It's like, where do your values lie? I'm confused because it's like you'll let that bigger thing slide. Like, I can't really do much about that. Well, you doing this little shit by like trying to bully this one
Right.
person, still not doing anything.
Right.
Because we still have this over here.
Right.
Like,
And so and that's what it comes down to. It's like at this point it's becoming more and more understood that corona is not something that we can predict. You got people that are asymptomatic that can just transfer that shit without ever knowing. And you telling me that we got to shut everything down whenever it's, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, I've said this before, whenever it's killing less than 1% of the people that it's affecting? I'm not trying to be insensitive, but I am saying that that's ridiculous. Economy or something. I get the fear at the beginning. I don't get the fear.
I mean, people are still dying. It's just like a life.
I
For a lot of
understand
people,
that.
life is a life. Like, what if it was your mom or
I understand that, dude. But and so look, that's what I'm not trying to be. But at the same time, I mean, people are dying from car crashes still. We're still driving cars. Like, let's get it together, people. We can open businesses. It's not gonna be the end of the world.
I can agree and disagree with you. More so, what I would say along those lines would be more so of the factor of, so people are dying, but a lot of people are saying if we keep going out, this thing is gonna still happen. Like, cases are gonna go up. Like, we're never gonna get past this. We
Yeah.
hit that point a long time ago. I'm sorry to tell you, but like, back in June, July, things were already past the point of no return. And you could say we could have went on lockdown for 3 months. I promise you, as soon as they open stuff back up, it would, like, with maybe it could happen, but we're so far gone right now, it's almost impossible to contain it.
Right.
So like, in the vaccine isn't getting rid of it.
Right.
So like right now, I hate to say this, there's no getting rid of COVID. It's not going away.
And so therefore, what should we do? Shut the world down for 2 years, 3 years, till it goes away, till it finds its way out? It doesn't sound logical to me.
I mean, it's not in
And
that
so
sense.
and so what I'm trying to say is this. It's like, what is it gonna take for things to go back to normal if we know that this thing is uncontainable. Not necessarily normal. It'll never go back to normal. But at the same time, all these people talking about like I see it both, like you just said, I see it both ways. It's like I don't see it. I don't see it that way, and I'm saying that from an objective position and trying to be objective is saying like what if you were to say like oh because it's not like somebody in your life like if your mom was what I'm saying is if like my mom was to die from COVID, my mom wouldn't want like my life or anyone else's lives to be ruined because of COVID. Like nobody wants that. And for you, and what I'm saying is that like when objectively speaking, you're gonna ruin more lives by shutting things down and keeping things like locked down and things like that than the deaths are gonna like count up.
What I will say is, if you are worried about it at this point, because I was saying it's not going away at this point.
Dude,
All the
homelessness is finna go through the roof.
it already
Poverty's
is.
going through the
It
roof.
already is.
But guess what's next?
What's next?
Starts with S.
We talk suicide.
Exactly. And I don't like saying that, bro, but it's just like logically speaking, whenever people are put in a position of poverty, they have to either overcome or necessarily give up. And that's not fair, bro, because they at the beginning of my sentence, what did I say? Put in a position of poverty. Put there.
They are though. And okay, so I see where you're coming from now. And going off of that, if you are so worried about it, because once again, the vaccine doesn't get rid of it. It's like a flu shot. You know what I mean? The flu's still there.
Right.
It's just you're less likely. It's less severe. You may not even feel anything at all. It'll pass through you, or you'll just get a light sickness.
Exactly.
You'll still like people think, oh, I can't catch it now.
No, that's not
That's
true.
not what the vaccine is. To understand what it is, it's the fact that like you get it. Like if someone doesn't have the vaccine, they can still die from it. It's gonna be still very severe, but the chances of it being severe if you have the vaccine are a lot less.
Right.
So to understand that it's not going away, we're just reducing the severe symptoms.
We're trying to maintain an issue instead of or contain and maintain an issue instead of resolving it.
Because we're already past that point.
Right.
But where I'm at is we have all the tools right now. So if you really are worried, if you believe masks work, wear your mask. You'll be fine. Wash your hands. And tests are available in a lot of places. I'm not saying that they're not available in a lot of places as well.
That's true as well.
But where we're at, I know not everyone has this, so again, this might be insensitive. Free testing.
Yeah.
They have free testing. You can go every day. You can go once a week if you want to. So if you're like, oh, you're spreading, I feel like people don't utilize testing as much. Like people were like, that was a big deal in the beginning, right?
Right.
But now it's like people forgot that testing's a thing.
And another thing is that like you were talking about like how like somebody could be seeing you as like an asshole for wanting to have a performance, you know what I mean, during a pandemic. It's like that person's going to the grocery store. That person's going to the fucking like that person is not sitting in their house 24 hours a day with a fucking mask on. But they're worried about you and getting other people sick? No, I don't get that. That person's being just as fucking irresponsible as you would be by having a performance.
I'll tell you this.
It's not irresponsible at that point. It's just trying to maintain your fucking normality of life. Sorry, I mean, I'm not trying to get anybody sick. If I can get tested once a week, if that'll make you happier, I'll do that as a performer. You know what I mean? I'll get tested every time I go do a performance. I'll have everybody in the performance tested. What do I have to do to get a performance going? You know what I mean? It's like they're not even trying to have those conversations. They're just saying, no, you're irresponsible. You're an asshole. How could you? Music's more important. Fuck you, dog. It's my life.
I mean, yeah. I mean, what if they did offer tests? Because like some festivals and stuff were thinking about that being an option, and people shut that down. The majority shut that down. Like, that's kind of stupid. We're in a pandemic. Okay, if you believe testing works, if you believe masks work, if you believe all the science behind this shit works, I'm confused as to why you think it wouldn't work. So do you believe it works or do you not believe it works?
Since you don't believe it works, obviously, based on your actions, how about we figure out a way to utilize it since it makes you happy, but also normalize our lives?
It's a tough one because I know no one wants to say go back to normal, and it's a tough decision, and everyone was hating on that. But once again, I mean, we are getting it under control. And even if you, I mean, if you watch the news, if you don't believe it or whatever, they are saying that as vaccines are going up, we're seeing cases
Decline. And
So
and don't get me wrong, like we're gonna have spikes here, up and down for probably another year or so, maybe two, maybe 5. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I mean, like, what are we supposed to do in the meantime? Sit around
and as they
in
all
our houses with fucking masks on, washing our hands every hour on the fucking dot, just because the government says so. First of all, if you needed the government to tell you to wash your hands, bro, you need help. Secondly, secondly, I mean, for toilet paper to be going off the shelf still like it is, like, bro, I was working at Target for a little bit, bro. That shit was that aisle was always empty.
That's interesting.
So stupid.
I think it's only Target because of the demographic. Because Walmart and Kroger still
Really?
like they're not that. It's not that empty. You know, you have still
I
shelves.
don't know, bro. This shit's weird though. It's just weird to me how people value certain items, like toilet paper. Obviously, it's necessary, but not that. Harry, you don't need 17 packs of toilet paper one purchase.
I'm kind of glad you said that because I was thinking about this. It's interesting how we put value in anything. If you ever think about it. So going back to like we've kind of just made up everything along the way. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like all the rules, everything we have. It's like
The Constitution,
like
the Bill
literally
of Rights.
it's all made up shit. It's
Yeah,
all
it's
like
all was created by someone.
so like, as a group of people, we decide what's right and what's wrong, which I think is why there's a big problem with everybody right now. Because like I was saying earlier, no one knows where their values or morals lies. Like, what can we agree on here? We all know murder's bad. I think that and like rape and racism is bad. That one's kind of like
That one
debatable. I guess
seems like
it seems like it's a
shouldn't be
toss-up.
debatable, but it
It's a toss.
is for some reason.
It's a toss up right now.
And so like, and also it's so wait, that's a good point though. And so what a thought for me when you just said that is this, like, well, what's the best way to stop the people from having the power to get them to never come to an agreement? So what do we got to do? Start dividing them. You know what I mean? So it just like obviously talk, but like,
Yeah, a little bit.
but I don't care, bro, because it just makes too much sense. It's like, bro, if I can't agree with you, we can't get nothing done, right?
As always.
And so if I can't agree with you, how much can we get done? Anything we want, right?
You know this
And
is
it's people don't even think about that. It's like me and you don't get along all the time, but we've been doing a podcast for what 2-3 years now,
about 2.
going on 3
Yep.
in the summer.
We're gonna start. No,
In the
that'll
summer?
be 2. That'll be 2.
We started in 2021.
Yeah.
So it'd be 3
Like we
in the
started,
summer.
we weren't like going. You know, I'd say like 2 years of
Whatever. It's been a
whatever.
while, and I still like you. That makes it all worth it.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take it.
And so what I'm saying is that like we don't always agree, but we can come to an agreement. And when we do come to an agreement, we can get a lot of shit done. And that's something that somebody can look at and be like, well, shit, if I can get them to disagree all the time, maybe nothing will get done. And maybe I can run shit.
Look, I'll say this. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here.
I'm saying maybe for no reason. That shit for sure
Sure.
happening.
It should, yeah, no, it's like maybe, just maybe, we're watching it right in front of our eyes. It's just like the Mean Girls where she's like, it's 80% chance that it's raining right now. It's definitely raining. But I'm going to go on a little rant here. It's so scientific research done by multiple universities. You can look it up. I just don't want to give out every single, yeah, I'm not citing this. I'm not going to go to, you're not going to go to the back of the book after this. And, so.
Interesting quote on page 33.
You know what I mean? So, essentially, it's crazy that we come to, like, agreements as people, and during communication, you tend to like other people who have similar values than you.
Right.
Where our values lie is the number one thing on what brings people together, right? And it's crazy because, usual people's values are, family, friends, happiness, those type of things. But then it's like, when you go deeper, it's like, with each of those things, where are your values lie?
Right.
And, like, tying it back into it, it's like, what do we value and how do we value things?
Right.
because we're in a world right now where we realize the people have the power, which they always have. We like literally we create a society from fucking nothing. People were cavemen at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we made shit up. People have always had the power. There's always just been a few people who are like, I make the rules. Who the fuck appointed you?
That's
just
true.
out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
And that's true, and that's why like it's kind of like interesting how like they have like presidents have to have like put off like a good family value type shit to the public, and it's, y'all don't talk, y'all don't talk after behind closed doors
You know what I mean?
at all type shit.
So it's like, what do we value and how do we value? And I think coming down, we're not having those conversations. You know, it's like we all kind of have an idea of what we want, but it's like, what do we really value and how are we valuing these things? You know what I mean? Like, what are we putting? Because we create value by what we
Right.
like. As a society, we create value. It's like the dollar.
Right.
The dollar's not shit.
Piece of paper.
We create the value because we said that that's what it's worth.
A piece of toilet paper.
It's fucking nothing. But we agree that it has value for some fucking stupid ass reason, and now we're all stressed about that dumbass shit. We can literally change that.
What's funny?
We're changing it right now, really.
What's funny to me is that like they have like real money and like fake money, but like real money's fake money too.
What do you mean?
Like how they have like counterfeit bills. Like that's fake money, but the real bill is also fake money because that has no value in it.
They're
It's
just
just
printing
as
it.
much value as you have it for it. So therefore, the counterfeit has just as much value if the person takes it. I mean, obviously that's fraud and not legal, but at the same time, how is it legal to just pay people in cash? Because that shit doesn't exist either.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I want to go more into it later on the podcast, like on a different episode. But like cryptocurrencies right now, and just like the value we're putting into that, I was kind of thinking about how if our economy, the dollar gets so inflated, it just is. I mean, it already is absolute dog shit. You know what I mean? People are gonna go to other things that actually have some sort of value. You know what I mean? Like a universal value. Because like Bitcoin at some point, or like any cryptocurrency, regardless, is gonna have value somewhere.
Yeah,
It may not
someone.
like
Not everyone everywhere, but someone somewhere.
Like what
for
I'm
sure.
saying is you can exchange it for anything though. And a lot of places are offering where you can buy like it with anything. Like you can buy Bitcoin, like use Bitcoin to buy like on most websites now.
Right.
And then like ETH, which is Ethereum, is starting to be incorporated in more shit now too. So it's like if our dollar goes to shit and it's like think about if the value just goes to shit and you try to exchange it in at fucking like European dollars. It's like here's $10. Like all right, here's your $1 for that $10. I don't
Right.
think it's gonna get to that point. I mean, I don't know at this. We're just fucking. I don't even know how inflation works. Like it's like you're literally telling me like it's worth nothing now.
I don't know if you're asking me to chime in because I don't know anything about inflation either. I'm not an economist or
No,
a fucking
no. What I'm
accountant
saying,
or
what I'm saying
anything.
is like, how does something that isn't worth anything already become worth less than what it already is?
That's what I just said. I mean, like,
How the fuck does that make sense?
that's what, I mean, it doesn't make sense. It's the same, like the same idea that this dollar and this dollar could be made from the same cloth, the same piece of paper. But the idea is that because this one doesn't have the little fucking Thomas Jefferson little face on it, and the fuck when you hold it up in the light and have the strip down it, this one isn't real. But this one isn't real either. It just has a little face on it and a fucking stripe down the middle.
See, because you could look at it this way, right? And what I just was thinking about is, let's say you have one art piece, right? It's
Yeah.
a one of a one. It's gonna be worth more, right?
Right.
So, but if you have one of a million, that piece of art's kind of is like I can get that anywhere.
$60.
So I guess like in the way like a dollar bill, the more it's printed, the more circulating. It's like that's just not worth anything now, right?
Right.
But a $2 bill is
Supply
still
and
worth
demand.
$2,
Yeah.
and there's way less of them motherfuckers out there. So
That's true.
Where's the logic? Because if a $2 bill is just rare as fuck, that shit should not be $2. You know, it has number 2 on it. You could put you could put a number 3 on there and say this is worth $50. Doesn't fucking matter.
That's fair.
Do you have a $3 bill? Yes. That's 50. Yes.
But see, some like coins, like they have like coin collections, like that can go up for like a fucking 50-cent coin from like 1990 2 or something can sell for like $20 or eBay or something.
That's what I'm saying. We just create like a Pokemon card can be worth $50,000. We're just making shit up.
We are just making
We're
shit
making
up.
shit up.
We're just making.
That's what this is like. So why can't we make up a better world at this point? That's where I'm at. Like, we're all
Why
just
can't we make up some solutions to the problems we have?
we're all like, this shit sucks. Okay, we agreed on something. Now let's like.
This shit sucks. Ah, cool fucking LED lights for my car.
It's like, can we agree to make this shit better somehow? Like, can we agree on like something that works for all of us? Perhaps, like, can we all come to agreement where we're like, yeah, fuck that. Let's do this.
I think everybody is doing that, just not in positive ways.
I don't know. Like recently, like if you were to look at like GameStop or like AMC, but like Dogecoin is like that's my favorite because it's just like everyone's like, money means nothing and we can put it in anything and make anything something. Dogecoin was a fucking dog meme.
Hell yeah.
Like it was less than a cent a week ago. Now it's worth 8 cents, which I guess means it means nothing, but it's still funny because we can really make something out of nothing. Way to go. But if we can make something out of nothing, we have so much we could do. We create the value, people. We can make shit
We
up.
are the value.
This world's a bunch of made up shit that we fucking created out of thin air because we were like, this makes sense. But now, all of a sudden, we're lost for words.
Wouldn't say out of thin air, but
Some thoughts were just out of nowhere. Like, I had an original thought.
all right, Jerry. Nah, I don't know, dude. I feel like for people to come to that place, it's gotta be like a real like loss of ego. You have to be so like well off with who you are that you see past yourself to be able to help other people. And a lot of people aren't well off with who they are. A lot of people don't like who they are. Instead of fixing that, they decide to attack other people for who they are. And that's just the world we live in, apparently. And that's probably the reason that it's like that episode of Morty's Mind Blowers, and at the end of the episode, and Summer was like, no wonder you guys are always fighting with each other and never get anything done. Like, all we do is fucking forget about the shit that we've done to each other and, like, past. Like, try to forget about the shit that people do, like people like in power type shit. Whenever like Hillary Clinton like deleted all those emails, still ran for president. It's like, were we supposed to just like forget that? You know what I mean? Like that happened. I remember you fucking lied about it too. Like that happened for sure.
Like Biden being
a
president.
racist or like
but he's better than Trump. Let's forget about all the.
were we forgetting that? No, it's like our problem is that we're choosing to forget and that's why we're always arguing with each other and never get anything done.
We have the power to create our own world. We can create whatever the fuck we want. We have the power to create our own. We can literally create our own communities right now. Create a set of guidelines right now. Work with. Literally, we're proving it right now. Create your own form of currency and use that shit within your own community. We could literally make our own life right now. The possibilities are endless, and we're stuck in this fucking cycle where we allow dumbass people to control us. Obviously not dumb. They're playing their cards pretty well right now, sadly.
If you didn't learn anything from Project X, it's that if you throw a fire enough party, there will be no way to stop it.
I like that. That's kind of a good analogy. If you're hot shit and you got shit going, they can't shut us down. They can't fucking.
We're gonna have to let this one ride out, fellas.
Man, I can't wait. Honestly, there's so much I want to talk about right now, especially like going into crypto because it plays into this. But I'm gonna hold that off for next time for sure. And I think we're gonna wrap it up. But before we do, I want to say I want to leave you with a couple things. First being this skit idea. I just want to throw it out there. I think you might like it. So it goes like this. Stick with me, people. If you've made it this far, I love you, so I'm giving you a gift.
Walk off the stage.
Imagine there's two people, all right? Let's just pretend I'm playing both people.
Pretend.
That I'm playing both parts here. Or maybe there's someone else on the other side. Use your imagination. Person one. Who has...
Can't be associated with this, by the way.
All right, person one. Does anyone have any apples? Pants over person 2. I have apples. Back to person 1. How many apples do you have? Back to person 1 or 2. I have this many apples. If you're not watching the video, I have my hands extended. So, this many apples. And then they smile together. They lock around each other with their apples. And they end. It's a happy story because now they both have a bunch of apples and scene. There we go. Left you with that. Also, we create our own fucking realities.
So sorry.
We create our own realities. We can do whatever we want. Comedy's in the eye of the beholder. We're who yeah. We are.
Oh, bro, we should try that. I was just thinking about it. Like, what if we get like an Apple sponsorship for that? But then I was like, not like Apple the company, but like company. But then I was
Granny
thinking about
apples?
it. There's this fucking fight fight club type of thing on YouTube that me and Los be watching sometimes, and one of their sponsors is a company called Johnny Apple.
That's beautiful.
Pretty fucking cool.
Do you like apples? We got apples.
I don't have any apples right now.
Yeah, apples.
We got some brapples.
14 brapples. That's man. You could literally make anything you want. Do whatever you want. Creation is sky's the limit. Don't be an asshole. Live it up.
And flams.
All right. That's it for today's show. Tuning in, Daniels. I'm signing out.
Tune in next week for
apples and bananas.
Dandy.
Thank you.